Good evening, everyone. This is Fight CPS with Mike Bartz, and guess who I am? I'm Mike Bartz. But anyways, this is Fight CPS with Mike Bartz, Tactics, Traps, and Tricks by CPS. I was supposed to have a guest on tonight. He's a gentleman running for sheriff in a county up in Michigan, and the man is just an amazing man. I don't know if you have any friends up in Michigan or if you're from Michigan or whatever. It's always good to have a good sheriff department, especially a sheriff, a man running the show on your side. But anyways, tonight, what are we going to do tonight? I'm going to try and give you some. Have you guys heard of these new rights in Texas? Now I'm in North Carolina, so I just try to keep abreast of just different stuff going on across the country. But anyways, in Texas, CPS is now required to give you or read you at very first meeting, at the very first words out of their mouth, Miranda rights or CPS Miranda rights. And they're also required by law now, and it was signed into law. I want to make sure I don't misspeak here, but anyways, it was signed into law. It's Texas Family Code section 261.307 parentheses 1 close parentheses and 2 parentheses open and close. But anyways, I'm gonna give you a real short synopsis of what's going on there in Texas. I think it's really cool. I wish every state would do something like this. I wish they did this in North Carolina. They did this because CPS was taking advantage of parents that just honestly were not aware or lack of awareness of their rights. It was dealing with CPS. It's fantastic that the governor and the legislature there in Texas did this. I think, like I said, I think we need to do this in every state. I think every CPS office, or in here in North Carolina, it's called DSS, should be required to do this. But under the law, CPS investigators now have to advise the parents of certain rights upon first contact, or risk all the collected evidence to be automatically excluded. And yes, have you heard the expression, law expression, fruit from the poisonous tree? Well, that's what this would fall under. So if they don't do these two things on first contact with you, then it immediately becomes fruit of the poison, or fruit of the poison tree. And they're not allowed to submit it to court. They're not allowed to even suggest that they have it. I mean, it's illegal. They cannot have it. It's a violation of your civil rights. I'm sorry. If anybody knows what Miranda rights means, it's from the Supreme Court case of Miranda v. Arizona. And it's just been, you see it on cop shows. I'm going to read you your rights. You have the right to remain silent, all that good stuff. Well, this is CPS versions of, and I'm going to read them to you. This is CPS versions of the Miranda rights, which is really cool. There are 10 of them for there's CPS Miranda rights, and they must be read out loud, each one of them. They cannot just mumble them. They can't say, here, sign this. You got your rights read to you. No, they have to read them out loud. And I'm gonna read them out loud to you. So just bear with me if I screw up, okay? Corey, what's up, brother? But anyways, sorry about the monkey outfit. I actually had to try and go get a job today. But anyways, here's some of the rights that you there are required to read to you out loud. You have the right to speak with you have a right not to speak with any agent of the department without legal counsel present. Huge. Letting you know right from the shit and get that you do not have to talk to these people unless you have an attorney there with you. I think my camera just died. Well, that's not God's way of saying you screwed us, huh? I guess I got a quick kick in my desk. Too funny. Too funny. Too funny. Bear with me, folks. I'm sorry. If you saw how I have my camera set up, you guys would laugh. I actually have it set up taped to the back of my monitor. Well, that was stupid. I didn't expect that to happen. But anyways, you have the right not to speak to any agent with the Department of Social Services or CPS, DSS, whatever their names are. You have the right, and this is in Texas. Now, you have these rights, believe it or not, in other states. They just don't tell you about them like Texas is doing now. Number 2, you have the right to receive assistance from an attorney. In other words, shut up until you have your attorney present. You do not have to talk to these people until you have an attorney present. You just don't have to. Number 3, you have the right to a court-appointed attorney if you are indigent, the parent of a child, and the department files suit for conservatorship, termination of rights, or you're required to participate in services. So if they require you to go get mental health evaluations, drug tests, stuff like that, you have a right to a court-appointed attorney. Now, don't get me started on court-appointed attorneys because, quite honestly, if you can afford a good attorney, get a good attorney. Don't deal with these court-appointed fools. Get yourself a good attorney. Number 4, you have the right to record any interaction or interview with the department. But you are advised that you may have to turn it over to the department, law enforcement, or any other party ordered by the court. In other words, I think Texas is a one-party state. Like here in North Carolina, only one party has to know they're being recorded. Now, there are certain states like Michigan, Connecticut. I think there's probably a good dozen of them it's not a one-party state. But anyways, you have to be, this is Texas, and we're talking about Texas here, folks. But you have the right to record any interaction or interview with the department or members of the department, but you are advised that you may have to turn it over to the department. In other words, they can go to court, the cops, them, anybody associated or any party of the case can actually go to court and have you insist that you turn what you've recorded over to them. You have the right to refuse to allow an investigator to enter your home or interview your child without a court order. Now, I don't know if that means if the child is in school. I just don't know how that works. If they're in school, I mean, if anybody has any comments out there, but Heather Quillen, hand pink waving? What? Pinky waving? But anyways, I don't know if that applies to school or not. But they're saying that in Texas, you have the right to refuse to allow an investigator to interview your child without a court order. which is cool. I mean, that right there is really cool. I don't know how it works. I don't know what they say or what they can do. But I imagine it has something to do with that. But I don't know if that means they can go into the school and still do it. But I know they can't. They can't force you way in and make you give up your child and let them talk to them. Let them strip your child down. Let them take pictures of your child. Interview your child. Whatever these fools do, these evil people. I mean, the most intrusive people in the world. Number 6, you have the right to have legal counsel present before allowing an investigator to enter your home or interview your child. In other words, that's never going to happen, because I don't know an attorney one that's going to show up at your damn house and say, okay, go ahead. So I know that ain't never going to happen. I don't know too many attorneys that are going to go, all right, I'll be right there. Number 7, you have the right to withhold consent to the release of any medical or mental health records. It's something I've always said, even outside of Texas. Now, remember, this is Texas, Miranda rights. Even outside of Texas, if they put a form in front of you and say, here, sign this, I need to get your kids' medical records, and you think that your kids' medical records are going to make everything go away, make everything disappear, you're wrong. Do not sign anything they put in front of you. Do not sign anything they say. If they put it in front of you, say, here, sign here. Flip them off, tell them to move down the road. Kick rocks. I ain't doing nothing for you. Number 8, you have the right to withhold consent to any medical or psychological examination of your child. It seems like Texas is saying, you know what, parents are allowed to be parents. You're allowed to make these decisions for your children. And we're giving you something in writing that says you have the right to be a parent now. So that's cool. Now, and this is probably one of the biggest traps in the CPS frame of things. You have the right to refuse to submit a drug test. You have the right to refuse to submit to a drug test. I don't know how many cases that have come across my show or people that I have met since I've been doing this show and since I've been fighting CPS, that have had drug cases and their children removed because of drugs. Everything from marijuana to heroin. I mean, it's bad news. And they do these hair follicle tests or something like that. It's really stupid. Here's a biggie. Number 10, you have the right to consult with legal counsel prior to agreeing to any proposed voluntary safety plan. Now, here in North Carolina, they wield the safety plan like a weapon. I mean, like a weapon. And they use it all the time. And it's number one way that they get children out of people's homes is with this damn safety plan. So once again, Texas is saying, you know what? You now have to have, now you're being notified you have the right to consult with legal counsel prior to agreeing to any proposed safety plan. Now, I was one of those kind of boneheads that decided to fight CPS in every turn, every suggestion of anything that they made. I decided to fight it, and I made no bones about it. I was pretty much a jerk. To the point where they hated opening the door to the office when I came to visit for visitations. That's how much they hated me. I'm big, I'm ugly, called intimidating. You know, being 6'7", 300 or 300 plus pounds, tattoos, goatee, bald head. Not the prettiest thing you've ever seen. And my voice in person, I guess, and especially when I'm serious, I can be very deep. And I guess I can be very intimidating because I'm very loud. I'm deaf. And when I say I'm deaf, I was an air traffic controller in the Air Force for 10 years. That, and I love to shoot guns. So, I mean, I can't hear anything. I'm literally going deaf. So my voice is booming. I've got a big presence. I take up a lot of room. I fill up a lot of space quick. So, I fought everything. So they hated to even see me show up. I mean, they really did, because they knew I was going to be an ass. And, you know, and quite honestly, being my size, I can't remember the last time not being, I mean, I can't remember the last time that I said something to somebody and they just come up and punch me in the mouth. I literally can't remember. Now, I've punched myself in the mouth, you know, working on acquiring cars and stuff. But I mean, literally, I've been very blunt, very honest, very straightforward. I'm a Yankee. I'm North Carolina, and I'm from Michigan, so that makes me a Yankee. I'm ex-military, and I'm big and ugly, so I'm just a jerk. And so, but I mean, I just cannot remember the last time someone just walked up to me and punched me in my mouth for saying what was on my mind. So, anyways, these people hated it when I showed up. They hated it. Because, I mean, I made no bones. I made no bones about who they were, what they were to me, what they meant to me, what I thought about them, where I think I can get off at. And I didn't use pleasant words. I mean, I'm a firm believer in freedom of speech. If you can't tell, that's why I do this show. But anyways, yeah, so I'd say what's on my mind, how it's on my mind, and when it's on my mind. And I could care less. I mean, I really could. For one, I can take a punch, but two, I don't know too many that were going to do it. Excuse me. And then there is, Texas has also passed, along with the verbal, a written portion. You know, if you've ever been involved with CPS, they'll give you one of these stupid little pamphlets that, and I don't have one with me, but they'll have these stupid little pamphlets that say, here's your rights. Here in North Carolina, they actually give you a little book. I wish I had that book here with me. I'd show it to you, but they actually give you a little book. Here's your rights. And it's so, information is so buried in the text, if that makes sense. It's not plain language. They get you looking 5 different directions for one thing. You know, you're trying to interpret their verbiage. It's just not plain text. But now in Texas, they are required to actually give you a written summary. And it needs to be brief and easily understood, and written in a language that the person understands, or if the person is illiterate, is read to the person in a language that the person understands, and contains the following information. This is some key stuff, folks. This is massive. Massive. This is something every state should do. But it contains the following information. The information in this written pamphlet they give you now, or this these written summary. 1, the department's procedures for conducting an investigation of alleged child abuse, neglect, includes a description of the character or circumstances under which the department would request to remove the child from the home through the judicial system. Huge. How many parents had your children removed without being actually told why they would do it or how come they would do it? Huge. I'm telling you, every state needs to pass this regulation, these state laws. Two, an explanation that the law requires the department to refer all reports of alleged child abuse or neglect to the law enforcement agency for separate determination of whether a criminal violation occurred. And then next, and an explanation that any statement or admission made by the person to anyone may be used against that person in a criminal case as a basis to remove the child that is subject of the investigation, or any child the person's care, custody, and control, either temporary or permanently, or a basis to terminate the person's relationship with the child who is the subject of the investigation, or any other child. Did that make sense? Because I sort of read it all together, and I mean, and I'm not the most literate SOB in the world. So let me read that again to you. An explanation of the law requires the department to refer all reports of alleged child abuse or neglect to law enforcement for a separate determination on whether there's been a criminal violation, and an explanation and statement or admission made by the person to anyone may be used against the person in a criminal case. In other words, shut up, don't talk to them. As a basis to remove the child who is the subject of the investigation, or any child from the that's in the person's care, custody, and control, either temporarily, permanently, or a basis, or as a basis to terminate the person's relationship with the child who is the subject of the investigation, or any other child. So they're basically saying that they have to, they're required to turn it over to law enforcement for a separate investigation to see if you can be convicted criminally. And remember, anything that you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. That's basically what they're saying. And it can be used as a basis to remove the child from your custody, your care, your control, whether it's temporarily, permanently. They can also terminate your relationship with that child, whether it's parental relationship, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, doesn't matter. And then the next one, the person has a right to file a complaint with the department or request a review of the findings made by the department in the investigation. Huge. That was one of the things I did here in North Carolina. Huge. And the investigation came out on my side. So it's huge. You have to remember, you can file a complaint and request an investigation for a multitude of different things. A person's right to review all records. Oh my goodness. Huge, people. People, listen to me. Huge. You have a right to review all the records. All the records. And if you watch Mr. Davis's videos at all, you'll see that all the records include notes, meeting conversations that they've had, any caseworker notes, any investigator notes, everything. You're allowed to review it. Unless the review will jeopardize the safety of the child or interfere with a criminal investigation. That's huge because, I mean, I asked for it prior to one of my cases, and they showed up with a box full of documents and said, here, all yours. I was blown away. I'm surprised it actually did happen. But that's because I watched Mr. Davis's videos and saw that I could request them. So I did. And by God, they showed up with them. In this written summary, you're also notified in writing that the person's right to seek legal counsel, references to statutory regulatory provisions governing child abuse, neglect, and how the person may obtain copies of these provisions. That's huge as well. The process may be used to acquire access to the child if the child is removed from the home. It was one of my biggest questions, and I know it was one of my wife's biggest questions when all this started. How do we get access to our child? What are we allowed to do to have access to our child? And here in Texas, they are now required to tell you the process the person may use to acquire access to the child if the child is removed from the home. Amazing. I mean, that's just something I wish I had. And then, of course, it goes into the verbal notification of the rights, not to speak to the agent of the department without legal counsel, receive the assistance of an attorney, have a court-appointed attorney. If you're indigent or the person is a parent of a child and the department seeks a court order in a suit filed under sections such and such, ordering and requiring participate under, if you're required to participate in services. But anyways, that's awesome. Huge stuff, people. Huge stuff. Huge stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's basically, I mean, everything that everybody I know has ever preached. You know, if they knock on your door, I know I say you don't have to answer the door, and you don't have to answer the door. You don't have to get involved with these people. But I can tell you what, answer the door and become a pain in their ass. I mean, ask the questions. Don't let them ask you questions. And if you're not sharp enough to ask the questions, I mean, just be prepared, because people, that's the only thing I can tell you is be prepared. If you have a child, know of anybody with a child, think about having a child. You're going to be involved with CPS at one point or another. And it doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter if you come from a religious background. It doesn't matter if you come from a political background, a law background. It just doesn't matter. You have the potential of being involved with CPS at any point, because they will show up unexpectedly, and they will do everything they can to get your child out of their house, or that child out of your house. I don't know if you folks can see behind me now. I got a little bit different background. That's me, and that's my little brat. That's the midget. There's the midget looking all cool, sunglasses. Love her in sunglasses. Let me move this way. There's the midget with a backpack on. There's the midget. There's Da. And there's her favorite toy and favorite person in the world, her ma. I believe that's at a corn maze one. I don't know if that was this Halloween or the one before, but I think it's the one before. But yeah, so that's what's behind me now. And then, oh, my camera's going to fall. But yeah, so that, I mean, I got a new background, so that's it. That is God ugly green. That was the wife's color before she moved out. This is green. If you don't wake up with a headache with that every morning, I don't know what you're going to do. But anyways, Texas is really taking a step forward. Folks, this is something we need to do in every state. I'm a firm believer that we can't stop these fools. I'm a firm believer that we'll never stop these people. But I do believe we can slow them down. The reason why I don't think we'll ever stop them, too much money. There's too much money involved. counties, states, counties, or cities, counties, and states get way too much money from this organization. The judicial system gets way too much money. There's too many politicians involved that get money from this organizations or from what they do under these special titles, the funding for these programs. Now, am I trying to say that they don't do any good? There are cases that I firmly believe and I agree that there are some cases that deserve to have somebody intervene. But I think they're being a little overzealous, and I think they're just trying to make money. And I think they're destroying families in the process. And one of these days, I'd really like to figure out how I can get a video on here, because I recorded the district attorney's office. Is that what it's called? And it's DSS or CPS. But anyways, the prosecuting attorney's office or the district attorney's office and the head of DSS here in Gaston County, North Carolina. And I was sitting at the table. I was pro se, so I was representing myself. And you can hear these people repeatedly say, "We have no problem with you and your daughter, Mr. Bartz. There's no issue with you and your daughter. Our issue is with you and your wife. You've got to stay away from your wife. You and your wife have to get divorced. You and your wife cannot be together and should not be together. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that you aren't together." So, yeah, I mean, when they say they want reunification, they want reunification with one parent, not necessarily both parents. And they definitely don't want the husband and wife. It just seems like from the very start, from the starting pistol, they turn around, they give you, Mr. Bartz, you got your own attorney. Mrs. Bartz, you've got your own attorney. And oh, by the way, don't you all talk. And, we played the game, and, my wife and I, we decided that we were going to, do it what they tell us to do. My wife was going to be the CPS wet dream and do everything that they tell her to do. And of course, I'm going to be the pain in their ass. I'm going to do absolutely nothing they tell me to do. I'm going to argue with them. I'm going to fight with them. I'm going to file motions. I'm going to be a royal thorn in their side. But my wife, she did everything they told her to do when they told her to do it. And now they told her to do it. And she didn't bat an eye. And how'd that work out? I don't recommend doing what I did. I don't recommend it. Unless you like contempt of court. Unless you like being tased. Unless you like not seeing your children. Unless you like, they made my life miserable. The long and the short of it is, I'm single now. My wife's single now. My child has, well, according to DSS, because they give 100% custody, legal custody and physical custody to my wife. I'm a father. I'm a sperm donor. That's all I am. And that's how I feel about it. The wife and I did go, I did file in family court to try and get visitation and custody changed. We went to mediation, and that all played out. But it can still go, it could still go belly up, because the way mediation works here in North Carolina is the mediator meets with you and they come up with their own notes. And then they will send us a copy of their notes. And if we agree with it, if we agree with the notes that she types up or the recommendations that she types up, then we go back into their department and we sign it. You don't have to sign it. If you don't sign it, then that's it. It's done. You got to go to court and you got to let the judge decide at that point. Now, if you sign it, and then it just goes straight up to the judge. The judge signs off on it, and it's good to go. You don't ever have to go back to court. But so it could still go belly up. I mean, my wife could go in there and say, you know what? No, I'm not signing it. I can go in there and say, you know what? I ain't signing it. In which case we start over. But anyway, so yeah, you just I mean, there's just so many things that you can get caught up in. I mean, I was the jerk. She was the sweetheart. Long story short, and she made friends with we called her the gal. What is that? The guardian ad litem. Yeah, that's what it is. Guardian ad litem. She made friends with that person. Well, our guardian ad litem worked for DS as a caseworker for 30 some years prior to becoming a gal or the GAL. And I mean, our caseworker and her were friends on Facebook, for goodness sake. And of course, me, I called them out. That didn't work out too well. But yeah, so don't do it my way. Don't do it my way. Do it the right way. You're going to hear plenty of attorneys, whether it's your own attorney or even other parents that are involved in this, with the exception of Corey. Or you see C Viper 23 on there. Don't go to Corey for advice because he's going to tell you the same thing I am. Corey's he's a manhandler. He's a rebel without a cause. But how do I put this without sounding like arrogant or cocky? It's too late, I'm sure. I'm a baby boomer. I'm one of the stupid ones. I'm 60 years old. I married a woman 30 years younger than me. Yeah, sure. It got me some high fives and some chest bumps from my buddies for, first couple of years. Because, I mean, I don't know if you can see her or not. She's actually a very attractive woman. Very attractive. Yeah, so, I mean, I was stupid. I'm a baby boomer. She's a millennial. We should have never got married to begin with. It was doomed from the start. But like I said, we actually had 6 years of absolutely marriage bliss. I mean, we didn't even so much as have an argument for 6 years. So it was actually really good. But anyways, so now, our family is completely destroyed. I don't trust her. She don't trust me. Corey, you gotta quit doing drugs, brother. Hot merchandise. I don't know if you guys can see these comments that are coming off of YouTube, but Corey's a trip. But anyways, so yeah, I just spread the word, folks. That's all I can tell you. Things like this right here, the rights of people in Texas and what is mandated by law now, that is phenomenal. That's good stuff. Every state needs to pass it. It's an election year, folks. Let's get these politicians to at least look at this and adopt these findings and adopt these laws to protect the people that are coming into the pipeline. And just to give people that are coming, the potential people who are going to be involved with CPS, at least let them know what the right or what their rights are and how to enforce their rights and how to push their rights. Remember, you're dealing with your 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments. Do you know what those 3 are? The 4th, the 5th, and 6th Amendments? And of course, my favorite is the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, because I'm just not polite to police officers or government agencies. I'm just not. But yeah, so I'm just not polite. So I believe in the First Amendment, right to say what you want to say when how you want to say it. It keep you. I'm sure it'll keep me out of jail. Allison, they're trying to TPR me when I never abused and neglected the kids at all. Allison, write this email address down, unless Grace can post it on YouTube. Grace, could you post my email address on YouTube? It's a November Charlie NC. There it is, right there. Grace is on it today. NC Bartz at outlook.com. Email me and I'll do what I can for you, Allison. Depends on what part of the country you're in. Doing this job, nice thing is I have contacts all over the country. I'm actually in touch with some very smart people. I call them my counsel. I have one lady who, and of course, Mr. Davis, I have his ear. Allison, did you see my email address come up? Yes or no, please, so you know. Because I can type it for you. But Grace, my producer, just put it up there. NC Bartz at outlook.com. But anyways, I'm trying to get here. Join the chat. Let me join the chat. Oh, never mind. You know, that's too much work. I can't do this and do the show at the same time. Oh, you're from Beaufort, our Kizzy Morgan. Happy New Year. Stand up to CPS in Beaufort, South Carolina. God, I love that area down there. That is just phenomenal area. Too many Marines, but yeah, but Beaufort is beautiful. It's one of my favorite parts of South Carolina. But anyways, thank you, Kizzy. Happy New Year's to you as well, and definitely stand up to CPS. And I agree with you 100%. And demand respect when CPS comes to your home. But we have, and you see, one of my buddies, and I consider him a brother. I consider him a friend. I consider him probably one of my closest contacts, and that's C Viper 23 right there. His name is Corey, and Corey has been a major supporter of mine, both emotionally, on screen and off screen. And talk about a man that's a wealth of knowledge. Oh my goodness, that man's forgot more about this than I'll ever know. He should actually be doing the show, not me. My only ability is able to talk. But anyways, Corey, if you guys can get your hands on to Corey, embrace him. The man is knowledgeable. But like I said, he's a bull in a china shop. He's a running gun and fool. I mean, that man he's aggressive. If it's not in your personality to be aggressive, if it's not in your personality to storm beaches, take names, kick butts and take names, then Corey's not your man. Because Corey is he's hardcore. He really is. But there's no man I would rather go up against CPS with. Than Corey, and that's who you see right there, C Viper 23. But yeah, so I mean, there's But Allison, email me and I'll see and let me in on your story a little bit and let me know where you're at. We see if we can get you in contact with people. Like I said, there's a brain trust of people going on. There's groups of people all over the country, all over the internet that are doing nothing. Malibu Dallas. I don't know if you've ever seen Malibu Dallas, but check out Malibu Dallas. He's an acquired taste, and I love the guy to death, but he's an acquired taste. But he is, I mean, a wealth of knowledge. He really is. The man is amazing. He doesn't tend to pull punches. He doesn't tend to, paint pretty pictures for you, but he is absolutely amazing. So there are a whole bunch of different ways you can get information out there, folks. But when I see things like they're TPR in me, that breaks my heart, because I'm one of the lucky ones. I got my daughter back. Corey is one of the lucky ones. I don't think they ever even got close to taking Corey's kids. But he has his kids. So, we're the lucky ones, the ones that are still dealing with this and being TPR'd. Oh my God, I couldn't imagine, because they broke me. I mean, they broke me and they broke me bad. I'm not going to lie. I stuck a pistol in my mouth, and I don't care who knows it. I don't care who does it. But if you're ever in that stage, you got to reach out to me. Please reach out to me, because I was there. I mean, they will break you. They will rip your soul out. These people don't care about you. They don't care about nothing other than money. They will lie on you. They will tell stories. They will make things up. They will actually mail things to your family members and embarrass you to no end, to where you don't even want to pick your head up, where you stay in hiding. You don't turn to help or turn for help from nobody, because you're just too embarrassed. It's too intimidating. So anyways, we're coming up on the last minute of the show here, folks. I've got 1 minute left. My email address is ncbartz@outlook.com. Please reach out to me. I try to get back to you. If you're in a position where you could possibly come on the show, come talk to me and tell me your story, and for informational sake, provide tactics, trips, and tricks and traps that CPS uses with you, or used with you to get you involved with them. We try not to get involved. That's the only thing I can do, is I can only try to slow it down. I can't stop them. I don't think I can stop them, but I'm going to do my best to try and slow them down a little bit. And that means, from not answering the door to answering the door and asserting your civil rights, your God-given rights, your law-given rights, your human rights, your parental rights. And that's what I think Texas is doing, is coming up with parental rights. And that's phenomenal. Not too many states do that. But anyways, Corey, love you, brother. Kizzy, I hope things are down Buford are going good for you. And I'm jealous that you're down there and I'm not. Allison, reach out to me, please, and we'll see if we can get you some help. And Kizzy's absolutely right. Challenge CPS when they want to talk to you like a child. Kizzy, I think you have some experience with this, because I'm 60 years old and they still insist on talking to me like I'm some kind of moron and some idiot. I'm older than everybody in that place. But anyways, but when you talk to them, now you talk to me or Corey, we're going to say, do not show them any kind of respect. Don't show them any kind of respect, because they're not showing you respect. But that's the hard way to go. That's sort of like cutting your nose off to spite your face. You're not going to get no help from them if you do that. And they will make your life miserable. But anyways, enjoy, folks. Love you. Grace, let's go ahead and get out of this. You guys have a good night. Bye.